ISKCON Ljubljana ki jai, Gangavai ki jai, Duhovni ki jai, Srimati Bhakti Devi ki jai, Srimati Tulsi Devi ki jai, Shri Panchatatri ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Sarva Savrani Bhakti, Sarva Shri Guru, Shri Gurangi. Jai Radha Madhava, Jai Kunda Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha, Grivardhari, Jaya Grivardhari. Gopijana Vallabha, Grivardhari, Jaya Grivardhari. Yasodanandana, Rajadhanaranjana, Jaya Rajadhanaranjana. Yasodanandana, Rajadhanaranjana, Jaya Rajadhanaranjana. Yamunatiravarachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Yamuna Tiravarachari Jaya Kunja Bihari. Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Grivadari Jaya Grivadari. Gopijana Vallabha Grivadari Jaya Grivadari. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tiravarachari Jaya Kunja Bihari. Yamuna Tiravarachari Jaya Kunja Bihari. Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahams Varvedakacharya Asadhara Sadushi Shiman His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hariva, Slava Zabrani Bhakta, Slava Shri Guru Shri Gaurangi. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswatam Deve, Gauravani Vacharane, Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskyadhyate Satarne. Om Agyanatvinandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Prijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shiva Sakans Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishubhanu Siddhadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Trubhyascha Kripa Sinubhyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranitananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 9, Chapter 9, The Dynasty of Angsuman, Text 45. Devai Karma Varo Daito Mayam Tri Bhuvaneshwarai Navrine Tamaham Kamam Bhuta Bhavanaha Devai Kama Varodato Mayam Tri Bhuvaneshwarai Navrine Tam Aham Kamam Bhuta Bhavanaha Kamaham Kamam Bhuta Bhavanaha Vai Kamavarodato Mayam Narine Tamaham Kamam Bhuta Bhavanaha. Ladies, Devai Kama Varodato Mayam Tri Bhavaneshwarai Rine Tamaham Kamam Bhuta Bhavanaha. Devai, by the demigods, Kamavara, the benediction to have whatever he wanted. Data was given, Mayam unto me, Tribhuvana Ishvarai, by the demigods, the protectors of the three worlds, who can do whatever they like within this material world. Navrine did not accept tam, that, aham, I, kamam, everything desirable within this material world. Bhuta bhavana bhavanaha, being fully absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore not interested in anything material. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The demigods, the directors of the three worlds, wanted to give me whatever benediction I desired. I did not want their benedictions, however, because I am interested in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who created everything in this material world. I am more interested in the Supreme Personality of Godhead than in all material benedictions. Purport. A devotee is always transcendently situated. Param drishva nivartate. One who has seen the Supreme Personality of Godhead is no longer interested in material sense enjoyment. Even though an exalted devotee as Dhruva Maharaj went to the even such an exalted devotee as Dhruva Maharaj went to the forest for the sake of material benefit. But when he actually saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he refused to accept any material benediction. He said, Swamin kritarto smi varam na yache. My dear Lord, I am fully satisfied with whatever you have given me or not given me. I have nothing to ask from you, for I am fully satisfied to be engaged in your service. This is the mentality of a pure devotee who does not want anything material or spiritual from the Supreme Personality, from the Personality of Godhead. Our Krishna consciousness movement is therefore called Krishna Bhavanamrita Sangha, the association of persons who are simply satisfied in thoughts of Krishna. Being absorbed in thoughts of Krishna is neither expensive nor troublesome. Krishna says, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Engage in the mind, always in thinking of me, offer obeisances and worship me. Bhagavad Gita 9:34. Anyone can always think of Krishna without difficulties or obstacles. This is called Krishna Bhavanamrita. One who is absorbed in Krishna Bhavanamrita has no material benefits to ask from Krishna. Instead, such a person prays to the Lord for the benediction of being able to spread His glories all over the world. Mama janmani janmanishvare bhavatad bhaktir haituki tvai. A Krishna conscious person does not even want to stop his cycle of birth and death. He simply prays, I may take birth as you like, but my only prayer is that I may be engaged in your service. Devai kamashvaro dato mayam tribhuvaneshvarai navrine tamaham kamam bhutabhavana bhavanaha. The demigods, the directors of the three worlds, wanted to give me whatever benedictions I desired. I did not want their benedictions, however, because I am interested in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who created everything in this material world. I am more interested in the Supreme Personality of Godhead than in all material benedictions. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tanamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskadyade Satarane. Generally speaking, it's expected that when someone comes to the Hare Krishna movement, that they're not Krishna conscious. Because otherwise, how did they become Krishna conscious? We become Krishna conscious by following a process in order to become Krishna conscious. Before we came to the Hare Krishna movement, we didn't even know there was such a person as Krishna, but to speak of being conscious of him. So sometimes Prabhupada would try to encourage the devotees by telling us that we're all pure devotees. And then Prabhupada tried to explain it sometimes, that actually there's different kinds of pure devotees. First class, second class, and first class. The difference between the first class and third class pure devotee is that the first class pure devotee doesn't fall down. While the second class devotee, when we're talking about faith and experience, he doesn't fall down either, but has not fully realized Krishna. While the third class devotee, he's already fallen, but when he engages in devotional service, he can go beyond the modes of material nature for some time before he falls down again. So Prabhupada once told Brahmananda, he said the difference between yourself and myself is that I can't fall down, but you can. So we shouldn't think that we can't experience transcendence. We can experience it at once, within a moment, if we just follow the process to do it. At least as far as we can understand it and follow it and muster up enough sincerity to use our intelligence, our faith, our mind, our refuge, our determination in Krishna's service. And then Krishna, when he sees our effort to do so, then he benedicts us with his presence, with Krishna consciousness. First, Dadami, Buddhi-yogam tam. First he gives us intelligence. So we get, wow, now I understand. Imagine if one day we woke up and we said, wow, I realize I'm at this body forever. How happy it would be, not only for the rest of the day, but forever. But that realization comes gradually, and it does come. It's not that it was not going to come, but it comes gradually as we become qualified to obtain that kind of mercy. In other words, as Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad Gita, one has to pass the test of the spiritual master. And when the spiritual master sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses him with genuine spiritual understanding. So all we can do is desire. We just have to choose the right desires. And to choose the right desires, we have to see what is actually to be done and what's not to be done, etc., etc. With the body, with the mind, with our words, etc., etc. We have to become more and more aware of what I'm doing when I'm acting in Krishna consciousness, or at least to become Krishna conscious. Now, just the thought that I'd like to become Krishna conscious, Krishna recognizes that. It's not that Krishna is indifferent. Unless you see Shyama Sundar in front of you, Krishna ignores us. No, he's actually been spending since time immemorial trying to get us back. So even if we hear the name of Krishna, Krishna is, I couldn't say he rolls over in our heart in ecstasy, but at least he's happy that finally the soul is getting a chance to at least hear about me. And then when Krishna sees we're actually chanting his name and we have some faith that we're chanting to him rather than to some kind of energy, the force or something, whatever it is. We're actually chanting to Krishna as a person. We actually have some faith that he's hearing me. He's not, oh, he's so far away in Goloka Vrindavan, you know. I'm sure he couldn't hear so far away. Besides that, he has so much to do. He's out there with the cows and the cowherd boys, and why is he going to listen to my calling out to him? No, Krishna, he's beyond our comprehension of how great he is and how merciful he is also, how loving he is, even to us individually. Now, if we have 5 people we have to take care of, we don't know how to, you know, we have a hard time figuring out what to do. We have to divide up our attention, our time, to all five of them. And then we get frustrated because none of them appreciate what we're doing anyhow. But for Krishna, it's not like that. He's everywhere all the time, and he has no problem doing it. It's not like, oh my God, this is getting too much. I need a break. No, he's been doing it eternally. And for him, it's natural and easy. And he likes to do it. He's actually enthusiastic to do it. He's especially enthusiastic when he sees we're actually chanting his name and calling out to him. And what to speak of with love, with some kind of appreciation. That at least I'd like to experience what it's like to be in Krishna's loving pastimes. What it's like to actually experience real love rather than the talk about love, but actual real love. If we actually are interested, all we do is have to ask Krishna for it by saying Hare Krishna and trying to do it as lovingly as possible, to show an interest in that particular state of consciousness. Otherwise, we go along and I got, all we can think about is today I have a whole bunch of problems to solve. And at the end, I hope I chant my rounds too, in the midst of trying to solve all my problems. Unaware of the fact that our real problem is that we're not in love, we're not conscious of Krishna and Srimati Radharani and their friends, and therefore we're not immersed in that ocean of happiness and love, loving exchanges, and therefore our exchanges in the material world are mundane. What can you give me? Can you free me from distress, or are you going to put me into distress? I like you because you're freeing me from distress, and I hate you, you should die, go away, disappear, I hate you because you're putting me in distress. But actually, are people actually putting us in distress? Or is it Prahlad Maharaj said that there's no enemy in this world except for the uncontrolled mind? Actually, they're coming along and we're seeing something we don't like in them that we don't like in ourselves. And they remind us of something we don't like because it's already within ourselves, and then we get angry at them. How dare you remind me of something I don't like? You should only remind me of what I like. You should serve my senses and my mind. Otherwise, you should just disappear. You're useless. Krishna, take him away. Eliminate this person. He's useless for me. Because the whole universe has actually been created for me. Oh, Krishna, yes, I'm your servant, but I'll serve you, but you must serve me too. It's a reciprocation. As you surrender to me, I reward you accordingly. So therefore, Maya will put us in the same difficulty again and again and again until finally we say, oh, Krishna, I give up. It didn't work the first time, it didn't work the 100th time, and I doubt whether it's going to work the 1,000th time also. Let me just try to chant Hare Krishna with some feeling, some attention, and let all these problems go on. I'm not going to solve all of them. At the end, even if we solved all of them, the universe is destroyed at the end anyhow. Krishna winds it up, and we're sleeping in the Mahavishnu for 311 trillion, 40 billion years, even when we solved all the problems. And then we come back again to solve another universal problems. And we never solve our problem. In any case, we shouldn't think, well, yeah, I should become Krishna conscious. I really want to become, today I'm going to become Krishna conscious. Good luck. No, we just have to show a little sincerity, or a lot of sincerity if we can show that. And we can do that by spending our time in Krishna consciousness. It's not as difficult. At least, even if I read these books and they, upside down or in sideways, they mean about the same thing to me. Still, as Prabhupada said about the Brahmin who was, depending upon which story you hear in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Brahmin was illiterate, which means he didn't pronounce the words properly. It doesn't mean that he didn't know anything about Krishna, or he couldn't read the Bhagavad Gita. In any case, he didn't pronounce the words properly. And if we were in that same situation and we tried to read Bhagavad Gita out loud, people would laugh at us too. because we also don't pronounce the words properly. In any case, everyone was laughing at the Brahmin, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw that. Here's the Brahmin, he's reading the Bhagavad Gita, and tears are in his eyes. So he went to the Brahmin and said, "Oh, I see you're reading Bhagavad Gita, and everyone's laughing at you, but there are tears in your eyes. How come you're crying?" So the Brahmin understood that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sincere. He wasn't trying to criticize him. So he said, "Actually, my spiritual master told me I'm supposed to read Bhagavad Gita every day." So here's one Brahmin who actually followed his spiritual master's instruction. And he was reading Bhagavad Gita every day. But he couldn't pronounce the words properly. And who can pronounce the words properly? Anyhow, he couldn't do it. And yet, he was crying. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Why are you crying if you're supposedly illiterate?" He said, "Because every time I pick up the Bhagavad Gita, immediately I remember Krishna driving the chariot. And I think, oh, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's the creator of everything, all material and spiritual universes, but he's acting as a humble servant of his devotee. And when I think like that, immediately I begin to cry." So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced him and said that you're actually the real knower of the Bhagavad Gita. So, if we have so much imagination, Krishna's like this, and I'm like this, and then Krishna's not going to disappoint us. He's not here to challenge our desire to go away from him. If we want to be an illusion, he has endless varieties of illusion. We can't even remember all the illusions we've been in since time immemorial. There's like unlimited numbers of illusions. Kali Yuga, of course, the illusions are not always so pleasant, but we get what we deserve. And we're looking forward for better illusions in Satya Yuga, where I can really have a good illusion. In any case, Krishna is there giving us instructions, giving us example, giving us so many things, so we can actually chant Hare Krishna and mean it. Actually want to at least discover what love is. Even if we can't experience it, at least we should be interested in discovering it, and we should understand that we've been given the greatest gift to discover it, practically the only gift that can discover it, by the sincere chanting of Hare Krishna, and living our devotional lives in such a way is that we actually mean it. But in any case, even if we didn't have a good day the day before, still we should have some aspiration and chant as lovingly as possible, as happily as possible, calling out to Srimati Radharani and Krishna to kindly engage me in your loving service. And they'll recognize that little bit of effort, that desire that's been born within us to do that, and they'll reciprocate. As long as we're not too demanding. And we say, "Oh, Krishna, it's been 5 minutes, you haven't reciprocated, you're useless." I don't believe in this. I'll go back to Shnik, Ram Ram, Dev, Dev. Why should I make an effort? You never reciprocate. You don't love me. No, Krishna will reciprocate, even when we're so arrogant as to demand that he does it immediately. He will reciprocate, but he may wait for a little while before he gives it, because he doesn't want us to become arrogant towards him, demanding, "You must do this. Do you know who I am?" No, Krishna says, "Do you know who you are?" No, I never. Anyhow, but do you know who I am? You should reciprocate with me immediately. I'm your loving servant, eternally. Really? Doesn't sound like my loving servant that I used to know. No, look at it. I made a garland for you. Look at this garland. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I surrendered to you. I haven't gotten a garland. All these servants I have in Goloka Vrindavan, the billions and trillions and quadrillions, they didn't make me a garland like you did. So, besides that, you offered me some halava today, so I'm surrendered to you. No, we have to be aware of how great Krishna is and how loving he is also. He's He wants to love us, but we have to love him also. Then Krishna can reveal his loving nature to us. And then we can experience what reality is, rather than what our present dreams are that we're creating. In any case, we take it a little at a time. We're not about to surrender completely, but there's a process to surrender. And if we try, we get something from what we hear, and we try to apply it a little bit in our lives, then Krishna will reciprocate and encourage us to try it a little bit more, go a little further, and then gradually we'll discover what actually Krishna consciousness means. The problem is, in our society, one problem, it's not that we only have one problem. Get out my book with problems. I wrote a book of problems. It was a bestseller, and everyone could write in their problems in the book. No, one of the problems is that we read Prabhupada's purports, and we hear the Bhagavatam, and we think, oh yeah, Krishna conscious, I'm Krishna conscious, of course, I'm a devotee. Look, I have a sari on, I have a dhoti on, today at least. And I have japa beads, yeah, this is proof, see? And I not only changed my address, I'm living in a temple, therefore surely I'm a devotee. What more can you expect from a devotee? I even shaved my head once, I can't remember when, but anyhow, I even shaved my head. What more embarrassment could I have shown Krishna? What more surrender could I have ever shown him than that? And I changed I changed my name and I changed my address. I'm surrendered to someone, a Krishna, that's right. So, of course. So we hear about Krishna consciousness and we think, oh, I'm Krishna conscious. I can't, I'm a devotee. Yeah, right. Devotee of what? What are we devoted to? Sometimes we give some time to Krishna consciousness because we're aspiring to become devotees. And Krishna, even if it's an aspiring devotee, Krishna takes that as devotion. I wrote to Prabhupada one time, I sent him some Lakshmi for his book fund, and he wrote me back, thank you very much for this contribution of love. Now, I sent it to him because I was the treasurer. And if it was up to me, I would have kept the money for myself. But it was my duty to send it to him. So I sent it to him for his book fund. And Prabhupada took it as an offering of love, some kind of surrender on my part. So what was my mood? Was it pure devotion? Oh, Krishna, Prabhupada, I want to please you. I hope you feel, you're in ecstasy when you receive this contribution. I think it was actually 30, Prabhupada said it was $30, but it was 50. Or I think it was 50. Anyhow, it was a long time ago. In any case, Prabhupada was pleased by it, just like he was pleased with any act of devotion, because that was the level of consciousness he was on. He didn't just write to me because he wanted another $30. He did it because he was genuinely pleased by even a little act of devotion. But that's what it was. It was a surrender on my part. A little tiny bit. So we have to see what is our actually level, and then we have to increase it. Now, someone's saying I'm not a pure devotee. I'm depressed. I might as well go out and enjoy again because I've been here for so many years and I'm not a pure devotee and whatever. No, we have to see what level we're at and just increase it a little bit every day. When the time comes and Krishna says, beep, beep, do this. And we say, all right, I'll do it. Like today, I was going to the bathroom to take a shower, and Krishna said, beep, beep, bring your iPhone and listen to some devotional music. And I said, okay, my iPhone is so far away, but so I picked up my toothbrush to go in, and Krishna, no, go get your iPhone. Okay, I'll surrender. So that was like, so far today was my biggest surrender. But it was something, because Krishna was telling me to do it, I was thinking it was remembrance. Krishna
giving him the remembrance, and I was recognized, this must be Krishna, coming from Krishna. And I did it. So maybe tomorrow will be easier for me. I won't fight with him for, 30 seconds. So at least we can do that. Krishna says, do this. And then, Maya goes, as she usually does to me, why don't you go to sleep? Take a rest during the day, because maybe I'm genuinely tired. And then Krishna says, all right, you want to take a rest. Take your alarm clock, your timer, and set it for 5 minutes, so you don't sleep for 5 hours. And I said, oh, it's so far away, the timer is so far away. Krishna says, oh, do it. And if I do it, then the alarm goes off and I go, another 5 minutes. And then after 10 minutes, all right, I forget, I'll get up. So it's not that I've conquered sleep, but at least I'm making some, to do that, make some progress. Rather than, I don't really care, I'll sleep as long as Maya tells me to. I said, just go to sleep, I'll wake you up in 10 minutes. Maya, it's 3 hours, what happened? Oh, I fell asleep too, sorry. I was tired. No, regulate our lives in some way, and Krishna will help us. He'll give us remembrance to do it, and how to do it. And we think, oh, that's me, that's my great glory. No, it's Krishna helping us. He's helping us as devotees. That's what it means that Krishna says, Chaitasa sarvakarmani, maya sannyasi matparaha, buddhi-yoga upashitya, machitaksatatam bhava. And all activities depend upon me. The super soul, Krishna, is there in our heart to help us. And if we make these little surrenders during the day, we do what will help our devotional service, and we try to avoid the things that are going to take away from our service. Like, as I said, all these say, when we sit down to eat, to actually look at the food and at least make the attempt to figure out how much I can eat safely without overeating. And not get carried away, When I first came to the movement, we went through what's called bhakti-yoga. Because Tyaga meant that I thought every day I'm going to eat a little less. That came after Boga. I was in Dallas, Texas. I became the temple president there. And it was a new environment. I was coming from another temple, and I became the temple president. And they had porridge every day. So this porridge was, you could probably have eaten a brick. It probably would have been more easily digestible. So we'd eat the porridge because our whole business was going on hare-rama all day long. Either you ate the porridge, then you're starved for the whole day. So I ate the porridge, and I was meditating on the porridge the whole day. So then I figured, all right, I'm going to cut down my eating, and I'll feel better. And indeed, when I cut down my eating, I felt better. Then I'll cut down a little bit more, I felt better. And then finally, I was hardly eating anything. And everyone was looking at me saying, eat more. You look too thin, you wouldn't, et cetera, et cetera. So then I, went from Boga to Yaga. I ate too much and then too little, whatever. So to look at the food and try to figure out, ask Krishna, how much can I eat? And take half of what we think we can eat, and then if we're still hungry, take a little bit more. Because usually our eyes are this big, and our stomach is only this big. So there's a difference. Our eyes can eat much, have much more optimistic than our stomach is. So we have to follow the reality of the situation, and then that's great advancement. Then we won't have to fight with sleep during the day, and we won't be so agitated, etc., etc. So get a reason of what we can eat, and eat that much, and if we're hungry, just take a little bit more. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Thank you for inspiring lecture. I would just like to ask, when we feel like we don't have energy sometimes, how can we at that times also give the best of us to act like Krishna wants. So how can we, even in times when we don't feel like it, get the energy to still do the right thing?
Well, it's depending on why we don't have the energy. Sometimes, we're genuinely tired, then we should take some rest. And if the reason why we have no energy is because I don't want to do what I'm supposed to do, and suddenly I feel all my energy drained out of me because my mind is rebelling, then we can try to trick our mind and say, all right, I'm only going to do a little bit of that for 1 minute, and then I can retire because I tried. And then after 1 minute, usually we find, it wasn't so bad, I'll do it for another couple of minutes. And then we forget about the whole thing, and people can't stop us from doing it. Stop, You're doing it. So we have to try to use our intelligence to overcome our reluctant minds, causeless, unwilling mind to do what we're supposed to do. So there may be varieties why we lose energy, but we have to use our intelligence and see how to properly employ Krishna's body under these circumstances so we can get the best service. Do the best service. Anything else? Yes. There's the microphone.
Hare Krishna. I was just thinking about this Sat-yoga, for example. Somewhere I think I read or heard somewhere that it was the golden cage. So my question is that it was still in the material world, although people were more likely to return back to the spiritual world because people were more pious or Krishna conscious. But it was still a part of the material world, isn't it?
Well, the material world means the spiritual world and our consciousness covered over. So we think, just like the prison is also part of the state. It's not outside the country, it's not outside the city or whatever. It's also run by the government. But there are prisoners and the people who are not in the prison. They have different experience, that's all. And if we act properly in any of these ages and follow the prescribed process, then we become eligible to elevate our consciousness to the higher state of consciousness and ultimately to Krishna consciousness. So it's not that everyone in Sat-yoga went back to the spiritual world, but there was an opportunity if they took to the process in that age. It only took Kardama Muni 10,000 years to reach perfection through the process of meditation. But they had the patience to do it. But they followed it, the process, which was meditation. Kriteta dayato Vishnum, to meditate on Vishnu. So similarly in this age, we can also go back to Godhead if we take to the process properly of chanting Hare Krishna. We understand how following the devotional process, especially taking advantage, as Rupa Goswami said, of chanting Hare Krishna, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, worshipping deities in some way, making the atmosphere spiritual, especially by preaching and arranging our lives in such a way that we can always think about Krishna, and at the same time serving the devotees, becoming a servant of the servant of the servant. These are all powerful processes that we can experience bhava or ecstasy if we concentrate our minds on any one of these processes, even as a neophyte, even in Kali Yuga, because these processes are transcendental. And besides that, by practicing the chanting, we also come to the platform of service, as they did in Dwapara Yuga, sacrifice as they did in Treta Yuga, and also ultimately meditation, as they did in Satya Yuga. Everything can be obtained, those things, service, sacrifice, and meditation, by chanting Hare Krishna offenselessly. Anything else? Kuala Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.